Hi Shelly, it's Trevor here. This video is going to show you how to format, style, and optimize the posts, the existing blog posts that are in Ken's new website. So as we went over today during our meeting, in the blog page here, we have this set up to display all the most recent posts that have been published on Ken's website. So every time there's a new blog post, it'll be at the top of this list on the blog page. And you can see that they're all organized based on date, December 24th, December 18th, etc., etc. Now, what you're going to have to do is a few different things. Number one, what we're trying to accomplish here is just in cleaning up the existing content that's there. So Ken's old website, you can see here, this is how these posts were formatted. There was a title, not a whole lot of thought given to the optimization or the keyword optimization of these titles. They were just titles that were chosen. What we're going to want to do going forward, and this is why it's important to check out all the videos that I'm going to provide to you as well, is to always give thought to how we can optimize a post for search. In other words, when somebody types in a keyword into Google, so I'll just go to google.com, if somebody types in leadership skills for library managers. Look at it, it already starts to fill that in for me in Google. If I click that, we want Ken's articles to be on the first page of that keyword search. So this is a long tail keyword search, leadership skills for library managers. And you can see right now, there's a handful, there's a book here, there's an arl.org, I'm not sure what that is, it looks like some association website. Some more educational type PDFs here, compare business products, business balls, SlideShare. I'll bet you this is Ken's right here. Let's take a look. And no, it's not actually, it's somebody else. Fiangela Veroza. I'll bet you Ken knows her though. So anyways, we want Ken stuff showing up at the top of this list. And the only way that we do that is if we optimize our content for keywords. So what I'd like to ask you to do is, number one, check out all the videos that I'm going to be sending you. There's a number of them that all have little nuggets of information that'll help you learn this process of optimizing content. There's this one right here. It's called Post Optimization for Search on Standard Posts. Again, you don't have to do this stuff word for word, but if you watch these videos, you'll get a sense of what we're trying to accomplish here and some of the tools that we're using, like WordPress SEO by Yoast, and why they're so helpful. So there's those ones, as well as some of these ones that I had already sent to you. Where are they again? There they are. So these are in our meeting notes here, and I'll provide these to you again, but like, here's a video on how to add a YouTube video to a post. So if there's ever a video referenced in a post, you can look at that one. How to embed Twitter tweets. How to embed Twitter tweets into a post. So that's like, let me just show you this here as an example. I go to Sports Networker, or actually, even better yet, I'll just go to my own personal website. If I go to my own personal website, you'll see that every time I have an article written about me, or that I've written for a publication like Entrepreneur.com, they always tweet about it. So they'll tweet it out, and you can see here that this is the tweet that Entrepreneur actually sent out. 5 inspirational quotes from sports figures in 2012 with a link, buy, and then an app mentions me. And this is actually an interactive widget that I can use. So I can reply to this message right now, I can retweet it right from here, I can follow, and you can embed these things into posts very easily. It's a really simple thing to do. And I'll show you how to do that. Rather, this video will show you how to do that, I should say. How to rename images for better search engine optimization. That's a good video on what to do with images, where to find your images, all that kind of stuff. How to format your images. So there's a certain way you can make them left justified or right justified or center justified. You can change the size of them. There's all kinds of things you can do. So that's mainly it. So combine those videos with this one here that you're watching. You should have everything that you need to kind of hit the ground running with this. And then the rest of it is just doing it and seeing if you have any questions along the way. And you can ask me those questions as you have them. Okay, so first things first is you're going to have to log into the back end of the site. And if you go to this KH account credentials document, which has been shared with you, your username is this one here, Shelly Jackson, and your password is, it might still be change me unless you actually in fact did change it. And I just set it as change me so that I don't know your password in the future when you change it, because it's supposed to be secure. So I'm going to log in with the admin username. Now, that when I edit these posts, it's not actually going to change who wrote the article, which you can see here that all of these articles are Ken Haycock as the author. When I edit these, it's not going to change it. I actually have to physically go in and change it, but I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so when we're in the back end of the site, you're going to go to Posts and All Posts. And here's the big long list of articles. And you can see that they're actually organized in chronological order. So here's the most recent one, followed by the next recent, so on and so forth. And we can confirm that by coming here and see there's the library one, there's the upping the ante one. So that's the third one. So you can work from the top down, obviously knowing that the most recent ones are the most important because that's the ones that are top of the list. So in order to edit this, what we're going to do is just click into this. You can click on the title or click on the edit button here. And this is the post itself. And you can see that it actually opens up in the text version. So up here we've got text and visual. It's in the top right here. Visual is probably the one you're going to want to work with until you get used to the text version. This is basically the HTML version. And you can see that, yeah, because there is some tags and stuff, and I'm going to have to help you out with that. But so this article right here is all just text. It's just plain text. There's no images added in here. There's nothing that makes it jump out and makes you want to read it. So if I click into this, for example, we'll see the front end view of this same post that we're looking at on the back end. So here's the front end view, and this is the back end view. Okay? Now, a few things to be aware of here. Number one, the title. So networking tip of the year, that's the title. Now, of course, I mentioned today that we don't want to adjust the permalink here, this URL, but the more I think about it, it's probably not a bad thing that if we are going to change the title of any of these, that we might also change the permalink right now before we launch, because there's nothing linking to this right now. So there's no fear of breaking any links back to the website. So we can change these however we want. So networking tip of the year. We might read through this article and decide, okay, it's probably more appropriately titled Networking Tip of the Year, and then let's just take a look here. I've recommended Work the Pond, Positive Network in the past. Top tip of the year, particularly compelling, especially as an educator and mentor to newer professionals. Wouldn't it be wonderful if library CEOs had to beat off new librarians instead of wondering about their experiences? Okay, so networking tip of the year for library CEOs. So that's how I would optimize this just right off the top of my head. I know that I'm already targeting library CEOs and I'm targeting the keywords networking. So from an optimizing standpoint, I might actually say library CEO networking tip of the year. That's even better because now I'm targeting this combination of keywords right here, library CEO network, and I'll tell you why that's important here in a second. So I'm just going to copy this title. So you can do that by just going right click, go copy. Oh, I got to copy the text first. So right click and copy, and then I'm just going to go edit here, and I'm going to paste that in there. And you can see that there's spaces in between, but when I press OK, it actually creates the dashes in between them for me automatically. So we're good to go on that. All right, so now the next thing that we want to do is be aware of this content editor area. And you can see here that if you don't see this bottom row, that there's this widget or this little toolbar button right here where you can collapse and open up this drop-down menu below. So it's right beside this Woo one right here. So you want this opened up because you're going to want to use the heading styles here. You're going to want to use the underlines. You might even want to change the text color. That's mainly the main ones that you're going to use. There's also this indent one here for bullet points. And then the rest of it is just like a word editor. Bold, italicized, strike through, bullet points, numbered, quotations, all that kind of stuff. And these are all the tools that you're going to use to actually edit the article. And then the media one here is the one that you're going to use to upload images here. Don't worry about this formidable forms one. That's actually interesting. I've never seen that before, but you shouldn't have to use put a formidable form into an article. Okay, so that's the content area, and we'll come back and edit that in a second because I'm going to actually do one here with you. In the top right here, you see that we've got the status of the article. This one's currently published. When it's a draft, it'll actually show it as draft or pending review. You can change the status. So if we wanted to remove this one from the website, for example, we would just choose draft, and it would actually remove it right from the website. Set it to a draft status. The visibility, public, private, password, you don't want to really mess around with that, so just leave that. Published on, so you can actually schedule articles. You can write one right now for next Christmas and schedule it for next December 24th. This SEO is a little tool that we're going to use, and then of course you can trash it and then click this to update it. So if I just simply wanted to, if I was done with this and I went update, you'll see that when I come back to the front end here and I refresh this page, it's not actually going to work because this, oh, it did actually. It redirected to this new URL. You can see here that it's now Library CEO Networking Tip of the Year, right? And it changed the title as well, which is great. So it's that simple to make updates. So let's keep going through all the different widgets in here. So the other thing is categories. So you always want an article to be in one category only. That's different than tags. Now categories you can see that we've defined as leadership, advocacy, board development, and in fact, you know what? I'm going to go into the categories right now and I'm going to delete a few of these because we don't need them. We've actually updated a few of these because these are some of the old ones. So I'm just going to delete advocacy. These are some of Ken's old ones in here. Leadership. Because leadership development is really what we're looking for, so I'm going to keep those. Governance should be gone. Leadership, advocacy should be gone. Excuse me. Let's see, purpose, let's get rid of that. Urban librarianship, we'll leave that one. Libraries we might leave as well. Okay, so, but here's, okay, let me just delete those first. So I'm going to do a bulk action, delete, apply. So that's just going to delete the categories, not the posts that are in those categories. Every other post is now going to be in uncategorized, so we're going to have to go and assign these posts to a category. Okay, so let me refresh this post again. You'll see that this actually disappears from category, and it'll now be in uncategorized, because now we need to categorize this post. So these are all the posts, or the categories that are available to us. There are pillars: board development, community development, executive search, leadership development, organizational development, urban librarianship, libraries. We might just take that one out of there. In fact, I am going to. CEO reviews. So this might be book reviews that Ken writes. CEO interviews, if Ken ever interviews other CEOs, that's where we're going to put those in. So here, this one being the title, Library CEO Networking Tip of the Year, it's really all about leadership, I would say. It's most effectively fits into leadership anyways. So let me just delete that other category really quick, just before I forget about it. Delete, apply. Okay. So now that I've changed that category, if I go update again, and let's take a look at this post here, you can see that this post right now is in the category of leadership. You can see it right there. And it's written by Ken Haycock. And you'll also notice that there's an edit button beside here too. Whenever you're logged into a post, you can always click on these and actually edit that post right from that link. It'll take you right into this page here. Okay, so now if I refresh this page on the front end, you will see that it's now set to uncategorized, which is not correct. Let's just try that again. Library leadership, leadership development. Let me save that again so that the change didn't actually take place yet. So there we go. Okay, so now let's refresh it. Leadership development. So now it's in the category leadership development. And you can see here that this is actually a clickable link. If I wanted to see all the articles that are listed under this category, I could click on that link. If I want to see all the articles written by Ken Haycock, I could click on this link. So it's very interactive, these WordPress websites. Okay, scrolling down. Next, we've got tags. Okay, so tags, again, you can use these liberally. You don't need to really give it a whole lot of thought. You want to try and use tags that are relevant to our keywords. So we're definitely going to include leadership development. We're going to put a comma there. That'll separate the tag. We're going to say library CEO, CEO networking. We're going to say work the pond, because that's who he's writing about. There's also positive networking mentioned in there, and I'm just pulling keywords from this article here. Positive networking, work the pond rather. So I can click add on these, and you can see it adds a whole bunch of tags in here now. So I'm going to keep adding tags, and again, I don't have to really think too much about these because I can just add tags like crazy. So I'm going to add Darcy Rezac, Judy Thompson, Gail Holgren Rezac, Susan Keppelman, AES Corp. What else do we got here? Upper management. So I'm just thinking of what are the keywords that people might type in that might be looking for an article like this. CEO networking. So we've got library CEO networking. I'm just going to say CEO networking. Tip of the, yeah, that's not networking tip of the year. And that's good enough. So I usually try and find at least 10, and you can see there's about 15 on that one. So there's the tags, okay? So now as far as styling this article, all of those videos that I'm sending you as well will help you understand how to style an article. But essentially what we're looking for is an image that'll be in the top left. We want this formatted properly. So this is actually Ken speaking right here. And then he actually just copied and pasted their recent tip out of here. So this isn't the best way to actually put together an article, but we'll clean it up here a little bit. So the first thing that I would want to do, and this is where you're going to have to learn some HTML in order to really effectively do this, is I look at the HTML and I can see that there's this EM and then /EM. That's emphasis, which basically means that this is a block quote. So, sorry, that's italicized, okay? So here is the part that Ken wrote about this, okay? So I'm just going to backspace all of this because there's no point in having that stuff on separate lines. There we go. And in fact, I'm just going to put that one on a separate line there. Okay, now if I look at the text, you can see that there's actually two emphases now because I've got this on two separate paragraphs, all right? Now, in order to break this down, I want to add a heading because I need to break it up to show that, okay, here's where Ken's introducing all of this stuff, and I don't even need this italicized. I'm going to hit the I, Command I, or I can just click it here because this doesn't necessarily need to be italicized. So what we want to do is introduce this first. So let's go ahead and get that out of there. And let's add, that there instead. There, that's better. Okay, so now I want to introduce this. So first of all, we don't need this. That's just a reference to their tip that they sent out by a newsletter. So it's a little confusing how he does that. But so Ken would introduce this library. Or actually, you know what? We would just do it this way. Let's make this our heading. Top networking tip of the year for library CEOs. And I'm going to highlight this, and I'm now going to make this an H2. I'm going to make it a heading 2. You see how that breaks that up a little bit? So now we've got the actual bulk of the paragraph that they were talking about, right? So how I can make some of this text stand out a little bit more is I might want to bold and italicize this, right? And let's see. Susan said in a knowledge at Wharton post, I'm not sure what that means, not only did upper management not recognize her and knew her name, but she bonded with the other 4 MBAs. There are 4 reasons why this works. It's easy to say no to a person, harder to 5. Plus, it's just one person that could show favoritism, and for a time-strapped CEO, it's way more efficient to meet 5 people than 1. So there are a few reasons why this works. So let's break this out. This is a bulleted list. So let's create a bulleted list, and you can see that there's only one bullet here right now, but if I go enter, another bullet, another bullet. So it's easy to say no to one person, harder to 5. Plus, if it's just one person, it can show favoritism. And for a time-strapped CEO, it's way more efficient to meet 5 people than 1. So you know what? Actually, we are going to get rid of all this stuff too. There's no point in putting this on here. So we might just reference these guys here. Darcy, authors of work on, it's actually called the Networkers Handbook. And I'm actually making this up as I go because I know them, but I'm just going to bold and italicize that. And then we'll actually do it this way too. On Kindle, on Apple devices. There we go. So that's good enough. Kindle on Apple devices and on Barnes & Noble. Okay, so now I want to use some type of an image. And in this case right here, it's talking about library CEO networking. So we might actually just do, or actually, no, we will actually do a search for this. So library CEO networking. And of course, we don't even need to use library in that. We can just use CEO networking. In fact, let's do that. As you can see that there's a lot of generic images out here, right? Here's one right here. This is networking. This is people in a room, shaking hands, meeting each other, right? There's also the ones like this. These are just people getting together. And these are good images to use because they're all just generic photos that we're finding on Google Images. And you don't have to worry too much about referencing these images. If they are, in fact, protected, we might put a reference back to another source. But it's one of those things where you use it, and if somebody says, "Hey, that's my image," then you go back and you reference them. That's the way that I approach it, anyways. Ken might have his own opinions on how he wants to do this, but for now, let's just do it that way. Just find an image and save it. So let me just come back here and save image as. When I do that, you can see it says business networking. So you might want to open up a folder on your computer and save these images. So there's business networking. We'll save that. And now I want to add that image in here. So I'm going to add this right at the start of the post here. Okay. So I put my cursor at the start of the post and then I go add media. And now I want to upload files. So I can select the files from here, or if I'm on a Mac, so I can actually just go to the file selector, like so. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And I'm just looking for that same image, which is this one right here, and I can actually just drag and drop it onto here. Or I can do it this way, where I select the file and pull it up on my computer. I'll just press enter. And now that file is being uploaded, you can see there. And here's what I can do with it now. So I've got all these options on the right-hand side. Number one is the title. And I want to change this because I know from an SEO standpoint, I want this to be the same as my target keyword. So that's actually Library CEO Networking. Okay, so I'm going to label it that, and then I'm going to, or sorry. Forget what I just said there. I'm going to change that back to business networking because that's what the title of the photo is. Here, under the alt text, is where I want library CEO networking. Because that's the part that's actually searchable by Google. We want this photo to be left aligned. We want it to be none for the link, and we want this to be medium sized, okay? Medium is the standard size that we're going to use on our blog post. So I'm going to insert this into the post. And there it is. So you can see it looks a little funny in the back end, but when I actually save this page and go to the front end and refresh it again, now we have an image in there. So this is looking much better already. And one thing that I might do though, because it is making this heading wrap a little bit, is that I might make the choice to put that down a little bit further. And I'm just going to drag this one, and you can see that I'm just putting it right in front of this Susan Keppelman part right here. So I'm going to update that because I think that might look a little bit better. It might not look it looks a little odd like this. And that looks much better. So you can see that we've got the intro paragraph, the heading, the couple of paragraphs, the bullet points, and then the closing remarks on that. Okay, now the other place that we need to do all this stuff is here under this WordPress SEO by Yoast. So I want to put my focus keyword as library CEO networking. That is my focus keyword. My SEO title is actually okay like this, Library CEO Networking Tip of the Year, but I want to remove this - Ken Haycock and Associates. It's just not optimized that way. We just want it to be targeting keywords, okay? So I'm going to copy the title out, I'm going to paste it in there. And now we want a short little meta description. This is 156 characters or less. And this is the little snippet that's going to show up on Google. And you can see here that this one's okay, but it says ... at the end. And that's why we want to keep it restricted to 156 characters. So I'm going to actually choose this. Wouldn't it be wonderful if library CEOs have to beat off with new librarians? So let's paste that in there instead of wondering about their experiences. Check out this library CEO networking tip. Okay? So that's a little bit long. Wouldn't it be wonderful if library CEOs had to beat off new librarians instead of wondering about their experiences? Wouldn't it be wonderful if library CEOs yeah, that's not worded quite properly, but how else would we say this? I have found this top tip of the year particularly compelling, especially as an educator and mentor to newer professionals. Let's use that actually instead. This top tip of the year is particularly compelling, especially as an educator and mentor to newer professionals. Check out the library CEO networking tip. That's good enough. Okay, so we got to fill all that out in because that's the SEO part. So you can see it saying yes, 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 yes. That's because we've optimized this for content. We're using our keyword everywhere. Library CEO networking, library CEO networking, library CEO networking. It's all in there, right? And ideally, we would actually have it in here. So library CEO, I might even just duplicate. Top library CEO networking tip of the year. There, that's even better. So this is going to just further optimize our article for keywords. So let me just save that now. And then there's just one more thing that I'm going to show you. And I'm sorry this is getting into a 30-minute video, but this is going to cover everything that you and I would discuss in person too. So I figured this would be more efficient on our time. Okay, so now when I hit this page analysis here, it'll actually show me whether or not I'm accomplishing all the things that I need to. And you can see these green circles means that I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to do. So these are the ones that I'm concerned about. You've not used your keyword key phrase in any subheading, such as an H2 in your copy. That's not true. I actually have. This is an H2 right here, library SEO networking. So it's not perfect, but it actually does monitor most of the criteria for SEO optimizing. Doesn't appear in the first paragraph. So anyways, there's a whole bunch of tips that you can use to optimize content. You don't have to do it word for word. As long as you're using keywords in the title, in the headings, and somewhere in the content, in the tags, and it's categorized appropriately, it's going to be an SEO optimized article. Okay, so last step on this is to choose a featured image. So down in the bottom right here is featured image. And we want to use the same image that we already uploaded. So it's going to be this one right here. So I'm going to choose that one and go set featured image. And that'll actually set the featured image. And this is for the blog layout. And it's tough to explain because we don't have it set there right now. But just know that we always need to set a featured image on every post too. So a lot of this training is really for articles going forward. All the details of how you're going to get an article from Ken and then figure out, okay, how can I optimize this article for SEO, for search engine results? Because Ken's not necessarily going to be writing in that format, but you're going to have to take the liberty to edit his content so that it is optimized for the web so that people will actually find it when they're searching for terms like library SEO tip of the year. And we need to do this for every single article that's currently on this site, as well as all articles going forward. And there's approximately 70, so you can see that this video is taking, this one's taking a little longer because I'm explaining the whole thing as I go, but each one's going to take about 15 minutes. So 15 times 70, you can imagine it's going to take quite a while. 15 times 70 articles, that's 1,000 minutes divided by 60. That's 17 hours worth of work right there. So yeah, like I say, let's focus on the first 10 in particular and get the process down, and then let me know how you're making out. I also got to talk to Ken about setting up a Gravatar account, but I'll get to that in another day too. So just give this a watch. Let me know if you have any questions, Shelly. And then, like I say, we'll line up a time to meet if you want some more hands-on, one-on-one training on the WordPress stuff. All right, thanks.